The Infidel Report is you,
me,
it's all of us.
Frank Sinatra, a Doris Day,
Whether you agree with me,
Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay,
whether you disagree with me,
Jackie Robinson, and JFK.
you're an infidel.
Infidel.
This report is for you.
The Infidel Report by Reggie Ham.
Here's a man who went to war without a mandate. He invaded a sovereign nation. He killed thousands of the people in that sovereign nation. He basically spied on Americans. He went to war for a commodity, completely wrecked the United States economy. The next president had to basically scramble and reconstruct what this guy completely destroyed. He was considered really inarticulate. He was a horrible public speaker. He was considered to be maybe the stupidest president we had ever elected. In fact, he was called often the baboon or the ape in the White House. He broke constitutional law. He did things that, on paper, honestly, are just reprehensible. He imposed American imperialist will on other people who didn't want to live under it. You might think that I'm talking about George W. Bush, but I'm not. I'm talking about Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln's birthday today. My hero was Abraham Lincoln. We see the big alabaster stone busts of him everywhere, and we see him on the penny, and he's beloved, and we don't even know why. Well, we know he freed the slaves, but most people don't know about the reality of Lincoln, and the deal is people hated this dude in his day. He was hated by Europe. He was called an imperialist. Yeah, he freed the slaves, but he had to tear the country apart. He had to kill 600,000 people. He had to break almost every law that a president can break to do it, and that was because he was a principle-based person. Everyone knew he was an honest guy, but the same guy who was an honest guy put people in jail without telling them why. He suspended habeas corpus. He was aggressive in his war efforts in the South. You can make a case that you can secede from the Union if you want to. The United States of America is supposed to be a voluntary thing. So here's a guy who was very principled, who had to break so many of his own probably personal rules and personal ethics for the greater principle, and never in his lifetime knew that he was appreciated. If he were to see the monuments to him now and the days that we take off in memory of him, I think he'd be dumbfounded because he was absolutely hated. I mean, he always said, if there's a place worse than hell, I'm in it. And all of that makes me think about leadership. My dad threw me out of the house when I was 17, and now, when I look back on it all these years later, I realize what he did was right. It was maybe the best thing that ever happened to me. I don't know what kind of person I would be had he not stuck to it. You have to stick to your guns sometimes, even when everybody around you is saying you're doing the wrong thing. If you know this is right and you know you're doing the right thing, that's what leadership is all about. And sometimes history will thank you. Today, we have a lot of people comparing Barack Obama to Abraham Lincoln. It's way too early to do that. I think people wanting to compare themselves to Lincoln is folly. Who in the hell would want to be Lincoln? We get nostalgic about it, and we get, patriotic about it, spiritual, and it's free the slaves, and we shall overcome, and all that. But it wasn't nostalgic, and it wasn't beautiful, and it wasn't poetic. It was bloody. It was nasty, covered in death. It was not anything you want to live through. What I can tell you is Barack Obama has enjoyed much more happiness and support and groveling than Lincoln ever saw. I think leaders who want to be compared to Lincoln are treading in very dangerous water. If Lincoln could trade places with Barack Obama, I bet he would.
Reggie Jackson, Reggie Ham, infidels. Yeah.